No. Voice is rough. Voice is rougher than I thought. Hey, Beattie's the name. Looks like we've got enough in view. We don't need to fiddle with the camera all morning. Dinosaur News. Dinosaur News brought to you from the replica of Sir Winston Churchill's War Room. I don't think his voice was this hoarse. I haven't been yelling at anyone. It's just I've been so much on the internet, I haven't had that much interface. I haven't been using my vocal cords enough. I guess the good Lord's telling me I should be doing more YouTubes. Dinosaur News brought to you today. Guy Fawkes Day, November 5th. We'll get into him a bit later. But today, to start off, Waltzing Matilda. God bless Australia. The first nation, the first Western nation to have the guts, to have the balls to say no to Ebola nations out of Africa. No entry into Australia. At about the same time, our Prime Minister here in Canada, Stephen Harper, Conservative, was talking about such a ban, just talking about it. But shortly after Australia gave the strength to the Western world, Western civilization, no to African countries with Ebola. You're not getting in. Harper followed suit. I've had the Aussie flag in my dictionary since 1973. Yes, indeed. Waltzing Matilda, good old Aussie land, and their government for having the balls and the guts. So I showed you the link with the Aussie flag on my dictionary for years now. What's this book about? Canada and Canadian defense. Why, that looks like a full Union Jack, with the maple leaf as our emblem, which is what Sir Alexander Muir's anthem was about. The maple leaf, our emblem, not flag. And our Union Jack, of course, is incorporated above my left, well, I guess it's the right ear on the screen here, and the good old red ensign, our flag. Aussie land. Australia, Waltzing Matilda. Canada, the maple leaf forever is our emblem. The tie-in with Britannia. Now the book I just showed you, Canada's Defense. I don't think you'll be able to see the date on this one. 1910. It's so small. The fine print is so small. By George, there it is. September 1910. I think we're going to make it a habit of showing you the good old books that Beattie Boy has here for the British People's League's library. Let's see now. Are we getting in? Ah, damn thing. It's... Well, you saw it there a minute ago. Can't play with it forever. Okay, Beattie, give it a break. So I'll just read you the opening of this 1910 book. Canada and Canadian Defense, Major General C.W. Robinson, C.B. Just imagine these words now. Think about it as I'm reading this short paragraph. The fact that Australia and Canada, the only two nations in the Western world who have said, no, Ebola, African nations, none of you are going to set foot in our fair domains. We both have the same queen, don't we? It shows that the British stock with our Union Jacks come through when it matters. The shocking bit is that we're taking the lead. The cubs of the line of Mother Britannia are taking the lead. The motherland is swamped. So we of the dominions are taking the lead, and that's a fact. But the white right-wingy groups in America and other places, they're too busy talking about the Second World War. They don't want to praise Canada's Prime Minister or Australia's Prime Minister having the guts to do it. They've done more for the white cause than any of you nitpicking little namby-pambies. You know who the good groups are. I'll get to them later on in the show. So the preface to this 1910 book. Since the Imperial Defence Conference in London of 1909 closed its proceedings, many of the questions which it was convened to consider, its recommendations and their result have been widely discussed. But in connection with the defense of the Dominion of Canada, a chief link in the chain of imperial defense, there is much which has been but little, if at all, touched upon, yet which, in the interest of the Empire, should be more completely understood by British subjects generally. It is in the hope of contributing in some degree to explain the general nature of the problem of Canadian defense that these pages have been put together by the writer, a great part of whose early life was spent in Canada. By the way, when he said British subjects, we were British subjects here in Canada up until the Trudeau years or whoever tried that. But in our hearts, we're Britons around the globe. That can't be taken away. Nor the lead. Again, Waltzing Matilda. Australia took the lead. Australia's the leader in standing up to the one world order of multicultural garbage. Oh, sure, Ebola is the disease, the excuse, but who's kidding who? It's the chance to slam dunk the whole works. The solution of the problem should, it is conceived, be sought, and it will be found by considering the character of the frontier of Canada. Yeah, speaking of the frontier, who picked all the rocks? Who did all the slavery in the harsh climates and the harsh lands? Northern Canada, Northern Ontario, out west. Who did all that hard work? White British Canadians with their European white cousins. That's who. We did all the slavery so that all the third world multicultural can just pour in here. I don't think so. Oh, they're already here. Some of you are mumbling. Well, they can be sent back. They can arrive. They can be sent back. Not every single one, obviously. But those that are here, when white dominion takeovers take place legally, when whites are fed up to the teeth, when they legally are asked by the powers that be in Ottawa or wherever to assist in the defense of Canada, when the outcome is all known, those who are non-white, sure, they can continue, those especially who have been decent citizens to a degree. But guess what? They're not going to have the vote. It's going to be retained by whites only. Shocking! You can't see what's around the corner? You're not blind, especially those faithful viewers of these Dinosaur News broadcasts. The solution of the problem should, it is conceived, be sought, and will be found by considering the character of the frontier of Canada. The lessons of the last war, that of 1812 and 1814. By the way, the War of 1812 was the last time the old Scottish fiery cross was lit to warn the clans that there was war afoot. The lessons of the last war, that of 1812, 1814, fought upon it. The challenges affecting Canadian defense, which have since taken place, the circumstances and position of the Dominion today, and to what all this points. An effort to do this is here made, and it may be added that the important issues both for Canada and the Empire, which may someday hang upon successful Canadian defense, are very apparent. C.W. Robinson, September 1910. And again, what flag is that incorporated in this book? We have a history, our people, with our blood and honor. My 1973 Webster's Dictionary. Well, no big deal. It's not that old, but that's when I went back to university and I slapped, I think, Dr. Deek, a famous patriot in white circles in Australia, passed on, but he sent me over the decal that I slapped on my dictionary. The tie-in is there. Corny as this may sound, I'll never understand why, but in geography classes as a kid, you know, you get your crayons and the teachers would snicker as we crayoned away. I chose to outline the borders, the geographic borders of Australia. Don't ask me why. Well, my father and his buddy friend who were in the Royal Canadian Air Force and the Royal Air Force came to the grade 9 forum and saw, well, what did you do that's on display? And here's my big map of Australia. Well, you can imagine how long it took to do the borders of Australia. But imagine back then I had Australia in my blood. And here they are leading the charge. I better check the time here, getting carried away. Hey, we're okay. We're about halfway through. So, Winston Churchill's War Room. Let's have a quick look here. Got a cheer from the rooftops for Australia and Canada. That's for sure, waking things up. But then on the negative side, South Africa. South African whites are still being murdered. And now there is talk from the savages there, so-called in charge of South Africa, to get rid of the pristine prime example of white statehood. The state created, I believe it was Verwoerd, President Verwoerd of times ago, his grandson, gave land to white South African patriots, the Boers, the last of the Boer people, so they could have their own miniature homeland within South Africa. They'd be minding their own business, an example to white people around the globe as to how to set up your own white enclave or what have you. But there's talk now from the savages that they don't like it, this Orania. So the mumblings are there. They've got their eyes set on Orania. The savages are getting steamed up again. It's just not good for South African whites. They can't get visas to leave. They can't escape. They can't get out. They're trapped in. There's a lady who runs a setup called Farm Watch by the Limpopo River. I think I pronounced it right. There's so much to say today. A fellow at Candor League always says, well, I should try and prepare more. Hell, with everything that's going on, it's hard to do a preparation. Especially when I'm still waiting for an executive assistant. But as far as what's happening to the white South Africans, this is why the British People's League editorial, still on our homepage, as to how to formulate and why we must formulate legal political cell undergrounds networking. Legal political cell networking. It's the only answer, the only thoughts that make any sense with the resistance, as we're swamped with multiculturalism. Harper's doing the best he can, holding the dike with his thumb. He's doing the best he can. Gives us time to get the British People's League lobby group really rolling. Let's get it really rolling. Just as in World War II underground. Legal for defense. Defensive legal undergrounds. And then when the administration of Canada asks for the British People's League assistance, we can legally offer our assistance. And with our networking spreading, as I said about Grizz in the local area of Fenelon Falls, Ontario, he's building networking. Our retired civil servants club is doing political underground networking out of Ottawa. It's working. It's the only solution. The American white groups are all fighting and commotions, and now in Britain things are getting wacky again. Okay, time for Guy Fawkes. Now, I did searches on Google because my wife, who was a patriot native of Horsham, Sussex, good old Sussex by the sea, Horsham, where the first Canadian contingency in the Second World War was settled in. But she used to read it out to our kids every year. Pleased. What a voice I got. What a voice. Maybe I should audition for the opera. Pleased to remember. Pleased to remember. The word pleased I just couldn't find in any of the Google searches with the poem. And the poems have been interwoven a bit. I don't know if Google fiddles. But this is the English folk verse around 1870. The 5th of November. But I'm going to throw the word pleased in there. As Hazel Wilsteed, her maiden name was Wilsteed. Hazel Wilsteed Beattie, who passed away. But she was a co-founder of the British People's League with yours truly. The 5th of November. Please to remember the 5th of November. The gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Guy Fawkes and his companions did the scheme contrive to blow the king and parliament all up alive. threescore barrels laid below to prove old England's overthrow. But by God's providence, him they catch with a dark lantern lighting a match. A stick and a stake for King James' sake. If you won't give me one, I'll take two. The better for me, and the worse for you. A rope, to hang the Pope. A pennyworth of cheese to choke him. A pint of beer to wash it down. And a jolly good fire to burn him. Hello, boys, make the bells ring. Hello, boys, God save the King. Hip hip, hooray! Well, that's a bit of British history. Half of the Friends of the British People's League, of course, are of Catholic descent. And we don't have any problems whatsoever. But, hey, history is history. 1605, the Gunpowder Plot. Please to remember the 5th of November. And there will be bonfires around many parts of the old British route areas, especially Newfoundland. Here in Canada, they still celebrate Guy Fawkes Night, Guy Fawkes Day. How are we doing for time? No, we better get rolling here. I think we better give our big plug again for our friends at Candor League. There's actually 3 leagues here. There's Candor League. That's candor.org.uk. And they've come out with a lot of great stuff lately. Their support base is picking up from around those of British stock in the globe. And I've been given privileged information that even from America, the United States, Candor League in Mother Britannia is getting support. And their publications are picking up. So their click-in is Candor, C-A-N-D-O-U-R, candor.org.uk. Candor.org.uk. So there's the league there. Here's the league here with John Beattie, International Director of the British People's League, here in the Dominion of Canada. And in America, the only group. There's so much infighting going on, and there's so much smelly aspects. So the only safe group that we will associate with or recommend is the League of the South. I neglected again to get the exact postal address or the click-in. So do Google League of the South. Great setup, great organization. But these are the only 2 outside the British People's League we'll recommend. The Candor League in the United Kingdom and League of the South in America. But I have to be so careful with all the infighting. It's pathetic, absolutely pathetic. But again, I think I referred to this earlier in the broadcast today. It's just sickening that groups won't give the Australian government and the Canadian government the credit for taking a stand and blocking any entry from Ebola African countries. This stands against the New World Order plans. It stands against the multicultural plans. And they're so shocked, the multicults, they don't know what to say. They're caught in a corner. And oh yeah, there's negative aspects of the governments there that we've just talked about. Sure there are. Nothing's perfect in the world. But again, I refer to look what Harper's done for Canada. He's brought back the Royal Canadian Air Force, the Royal Canadian Navy. He's brought back the Red Ensign, which flies in a position of prominence. Our flag, our Canadian flag that sits above the Aussie hat here. The Aussie hat that I'm wearing in honor of Waltzing Matilda, in honor of Australia for taking the lead. And our Canadian flag, our British Canadian flag, our red ensign right above my head here in the studio. All of these symbols are not going to be watered down by the multicults. We are on the take. We are on the move. We are on the upswing. And the significance will not be noted by the white groups anywhere. They're simply jealous. It takes away. Well, I mean, here's the head of governments standing up for white people's rights. Okay, so they're not saying white openly, but it's pretty obvious, isn't it? Okay, time's up. I'll get the voice in better shape next time. Get some donations, eh? Come on. Help us pay the internet bill. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk at you whenever the mood hits. Goodbye for now.